Good evening, all. Welcome to the online webinar series conducted by Evolution Careers in association with RSN Consulting. I am Sukumar, the host and speaker for the day. And today's session is going to be on bridging the gap between institutes and industry. In short, it's bridging the gap between education system and the industrial market. I hold a BE Mechatronics Engineering degree along with PGDBA in Operations Management. I have over 12 years of industrial experience, 10 years in India and 2 years in abroad, and close to 1 year of full-time experience in mentoring, coaching, and training field, along with motivational speaking and a lot of career counseling guidances. Besides that, I do write books. I have published few in Amazon Kindle online store, and also I do write verses and lyrics in Tamil and Telugu languages. This is in short about me and about Evolution Careers. Evolution Careers is a training and placement support service provider along with HR consultancy provider since 2013. And so far, it had trained close to 20,000 plus students, corporates, and also unskilled professionals to enhance the skill sets and upbring their talents. This is in short about Evolution Careers, and let's straight away go into the topic. What is the gap actually that's there between the institute and the industry? What is the gap actually? All of us say there is a gap, and when we are going to bridge it, that's a question which lies still hanging. Since the days of my graduation, I have been observing it. Until then, I was not knowing about it. Once I went into the industry, I started knowing what is the real gap between our education system and the industry. Over my experience of, say, 12 years in corporate industrial background, that too in the manufacturing sector, and also my friends' experience in the fields of IT, ITES, and friends in education system too. So, from all the collective experiences, I am going to speak out on this topic. It's purely experience based speech. It's going to be the content is going to be out of experience and not out of some textbook. Sorry, sorry to say this, because this topic we have to think in practical point of view rather than whatever is there on papers. That's my point of view. Hope you will agree with it. Apologies for the inconvenience caused to any for speaking on this topic. And straight away, let's see what is the basic difference or the basic difference in approach between an institute and an industry. Be it any sort of institute, there are certain institutes which closely associate with industries and work pretty much closer. There are courses like ITI, there are courses like hotel management, wherein they have more practical classes than theoretical classes, wherein they'll be given hands-on training on the job actually. While they study itself, they'll be learning things. While they study itself, they'll be learning a lot of things. So we can't expect the same thing in each and every aspect or each and every field of study. So there could be a lot of variances. There are definitely a lot of variances when it comes to the academic institutions and also the industries. Why that variance comes in? What's the reason for that variance? Because the basic why we have the difference between industry and institute, or The basic difference why we have the differences with respect to institute and the industry, why we have this gap is because both need a lot of interaction, but actually the interaction is not happening to the required level. I feel personally. I have seen it personally, I have experienced it personally. So, out of it, what I have observed is there is definitely not required amount of communication or the interaction happening between the industry and the institutes. Actually, it should happen more. The industry and institute should have a collaboration and they have to work on a common platform. Otherwise, what it happens? We'll be learning something in the institute, and finally, when we go into an industry, that learning becomes just utter basic concepts, and we have to unlearn what we have learned and we have to learn new things. The moment we go out of a college or any institute and we start working in an industry, and finally we are unlearning everything what we have learned and we are relearning new things, then again we have to spend time on learning new things. And to adjust to the practicalities of those, what it happens, if we want to adjust to the practicalities of those, definitely it takes time. That's the reason why most of the people who are freshly joining into industries are finding it hard to accommodate there, adapt there. Somehow they are managing to pull the things off, but are they meeting the industrial standards? Definitely no. And there are certain universities across the globe which closely work with industries, and industries are funding the institutes to do a lot of research work on their technologies and projects, products. Why they are doing so and why we are not doing it? We might have a number of reasons. Let's keep those reasons aside and let's focus on what should be done and how we can do it, how we can bridge that gap. So let's see. There are three primary things that differentiates an institute and an industry: the environment, functioning, and the focus areas. First, what is an institutional environment? Institutional environment is study-based environment, whereas industrial environment focuses on productivity basis. For industry, productivity is the primary focus area, productivity and performance. In industries, and upgradation in technology. That's one more key aspect of focus area. R&D, new product development, market capturing. There are a lot of things. Whereas when you come into the institutional environment, the focus areas is primarily on academic credentials, academic ranks. Yes, they are meant for that. I'm not saying they should not be there. In addition to that, there should be something that bridges with the industry. We should not be simply focusing on the academic grades alone. Yes, they are needed, but they are the not only things that are needed. We should not end up with those things only. That's where we are predominantly doing all these years. Most of the institutes they stop with securing grades, and finally, the industrial infraction is not happening to the required levels. I'm not finding fault with anybody here, but what we have to do to move further, to move one step ahead. Let's think in that aspect. Let's take it positive and see how we can improve ourselves rather than seeing what we have done wrong. We have to correct our faults or shortcomings. It's not a fault, in fact, it's a shortcoming out of ignorance or lack of awareness, or, in essence, maybe a lot of reasons for it. Let's keep those reasons aside and let's keep what has happened aside and let's focus on what we can do. And the mode of functioning of an institute, it's the traditional hierarchical method, whereas industrial environment adapts to every change happening in the industry or every change happening into the market. If you have to give one promotion to anybody just based on sheer performance, they can rise to the CEO level within a short span of time. If you want to just stick to the experience or the academic credentials alone, certifications, credentials, minimum years of experience needed, most of the industries do not work that way today. If you are talented enough, skilled enough, then maybe by the time you are 30 or 35, you can be the CEO of a company. How old is Sundar Pichai? He is the CEO of Google right away, right now. But can you imagine a person of Sundar Pichai's age becoming dean in IIT? Definitely not. A dean in any reputed engineering college, any reputed arts and science college, or the principal of that college. By the time his age reaches maybe 35 or less than 40, Rajiv Gandhi became the Prime Minister of India at the age of 39, but we can hardly see any institution heads less than 40. I'm not saying people of less than 40 should be given preference. What my point here, or what the point from people from industry here is, if you are really talented, then it has to be recognized. So that's how the industry keeps changing. Industry adapts to the new technologies then and there itself. Otherwise, they'll be outdated from the market. But what we are doing in institutes is we are still focusing on things which are presently not in use in market. Say, for example, I had studied my engineering during the period 2003 to 2007. Those days, I have studied about lathes in manufacturing technology. Yes, lathe is a basic machine. I do understand it. But even today, what I have studied 12 years back, the same syllabus is followed. Sorry, it's about, I had studied it in my second year, which is in 2004-5. So, which means 15 years earlier, what syllabus was there for that subject, even today we have the same subject. We are still sticking on to C, C++, or maybe Java, or the latest addition is Python in programming languages as a part of curriculum. But today, artificial intelligence, machine learning, advanced robotics, advanced automations, IoT and Industry 4.0 is a current trend in the market. 5G technology. How many of the institutes have 5G technology as a part of their curriculum or the cutting edge technologies of the day? Electronics design automation. How many of us know about it? How many of us have included that in the curriculum? Yeah, these are few examples I am just uttering now. Like this, in each and every course of engineering or course of arts and science, be it commerce, we still stick to the manual calculation of profit and loss. We are advanced and we have a lot of accounting tools available in the market, and when we are going into companies, we have to use those tools. How many of us know to use those tools? Since I am from engineering background, I am easily able to correlate engineering examples. But yes, when you come to the commerce or even biotechnology, how many of us are learning advanced technologies? What we are learning in institute are maybe 10 years old technology or 15 years old technology, which is currently not in use in market. Yes, the basic concept lies there, but is it sufficient? Definitely not. Definitely that is not sufficient for today's market needs. And days are gone where you are given 1 year or 2 years of chance to progress or to learn things and adapt to the industry culture. Today, no more of that scenario. They are calling for internships, and if you do not perform an internship properly, many of the industries are canceling their offer letters. They are observing the candidate's performance during the internship period of say 1 month to 3 months period, based on which either they take into the job or ask the person to look for another opportunity. Why? Because the industry needs, the market needs are changing very drastically and a lot of cost cutting is happening. They don't want to spend lots and lots of money on training because they are not getting that much of profits in the market. So now, what's the onus on the institutes? Now, institutes, if we do not upgrade to make people ready to work for the industries, then definitely we are not producing the best talents and sending them to the market needs. Definitely, we have to find out ways and means to do it. There are certain things where we can bridge the gap to a little extent, or we can start by this. First, we have to know what advanced and cutting edge technology is there right now in the market. Most of us are having lack of awareness over it. We have to continuously communicate and interact with the industries to know what's the current technologies going on in the market, which are the need of the hour. And we can send our students to learn those technologies in the industries by having tie-up with industries. We have a lot of MOUs signed in each and every institute, but we are not sure exactly how many of us are really using that MOUs for technological growth of the institute, or knowing the advancements in technology for our students. I'm very much blunt here, but yes, from my observations or from our observations, what we have found is there is not the fullest usage happening. Yes, there is industrial visits or in-plant trainings or internships happening, but not to the fullest extent it can be done. We are leaving a lot of gap there, as a result of which we are widening the gap still further. And next, FDP for faculties in those industries. If you go there and see what is the industrial environment is and what is the present day technology happening over there, then you will be definitely adapting to it and you will be guiding the students up to take a step into it, which is most needed. That's the most needed for the hour. And adapting industrial environment in institutions. See, one of the simple example I can say, we have to follow a lot of honorariums in the institutions. Why? Because is that we are still following the same thing that came from Macaulay. I'm not finding fault with it, but for the current age scenario, is it needed? Just think, while we introduce a guest, what industries do and what institutes do. The industries introduce, if I have to be introduced, I'll be introduced as Sukumar, Sukumar Radrapu, holding Associate Director position in Evolution Careers, going to deliver speech on the topic, bridging the gap between institutes and industries. We welcome Mrs. Kumar to take up the session. That's it. If some higher position people are there, then along with the guest, those people names and the positions only will be spelled out. Even when the CEO of ABB was addressing people on town hall gathering, his guest intro, was, the speaker's intro had happened this way. We welcome the CEO of ABB Limited, Mr. Ulrich, to address ABB members in this town hall meeting. That's it. This is the introductions, guest introductions I have seen, or the speaker introduction I have seen across my industrial experience. Just imagine what we'll be speaking when we introduce a speaker in an institute. We'll take minimum 10 minutes or 5 to 10 minutes to introduce about the speaker. We'll be saying he has did a BE, he has did a MBA, he has did a PhD, he started his career with so and so, he is doing so and so now, he has did so and so now. Sometimes it looks like, do we need this sort of introduction? Are we not following the current market trend? Are we sticking still to the age-old tradition of the public speaking or the honorarium mindset? Industries, in any industry, if someone keeps introducing like that, for the next such event, he or she will not be in the MC committee. They'll be shifted out. At least the industries I have worked in, they'll be removing them from MC, or else the person who is doing the MC has to change the way of introduction. It has to be to the simplest extent possible. This is one of the example, and we always in the institutes, because they are still kids, we feel them as still kids. What we do is, for each and everything we ask them to call the parents, but in industries none of the companies will ask anyone to call the parents or family members. If there is any disciplinary issue, they'll call the employee, they'll do the inquiry, and if the employee is found guilty, they'll sack him or her off from the job. That's it. No more questions. That's the sort of culture adaptability in industry. When these people graduate and they go into an industry, they finish their degrees, either undergraduation or post graduation or doctorates, and go into an industry, they find it pretty difficult to adapt to it in the beginning stages. At least most of the students find it difficult to do it, because for each and everything they have been used to call the parents. But now, when all of a sudden industry is paying them salary, in institutes they pay fees and they call the parents. But in industries, they are getting salaries, but the parents will not be called for anything. If someone brings parents inside the company premises, it will be never entertained. Parents can sit until the gate, unless otherwise there is something serious, or if the parent wanted to have an interaction with the HR, still they will be not called into the desk. They'll be waiting in the launch, and the concerned representative or the official will go and meet that person in the launch. No recommendations, nothing will be predominantly taken into consideration in industries. Be it anyone, be it MLA's son or minister's son or daughter, they don't mind. But in institutes, do we follow it? Let's question ourselves. If you are not following it, let's follow it. That's it. Nothing wrong with it. And continuous improvement and upgradation by means of incubation centers in institutions. This is one of the key aspects wherein we can bring the industrial atmosphere inside an industry. Once we do it, we'll be easily accessing and getting exposure for the current age technologies or the new trends in the market within the university or the institute campus itself. Once we start getting it, our way of thinking towards industries will definitely change and we'll be moving closer to practicality. Once we move closer to the practicality, then we'll be adapting to the situation and we'll not be facing any challenges in dealing with any industry. So let's do it. Let's focus towards it. Hardly a couple of us every day, any student, or at least the willing students, or the willing faculty members who want to learn new things, can make use of this incubation centers. And they can bring in a lot of patents, they can bring in a lot of technological advancements, and they can find many things. And using those things, they can create a lot of new demands in the market. And technologically, we can develop a lot conceptually, technologically, work wise, strategy wise, management wise, a lot of things. We can develop it and we can be the global leader too. And for that, we have to follow the culture of living in line with the market needs. When we start moving closer to it, our success becomes pretty easy. So that's it for this session, and any queries you can start posting it. We'll be definitely answering you back. We regret the inconvenience caused to any for certain blunt statements which are factual and which are really happening around us. It's not meant to offend anyone, but we just wanted to talk based on reality in this session, or in every session we talk based on the realistic facts happening around us. So thanks for your participation, and we are waiting for the queries. Thank you.